Welcome to the C-Suite Minimalists. Whether you are a manager or an entrepreneur, it's your place for practical insights on how to do better with less. And now this is your host, Victoria.
Thank you, Darren. Hello, C-Suiters. Great to have you here for episode 3 of the C-Suite Minimalists podcast. Today's episode, that I'm co-hosting with my artificial intelligence friend Darren, is dedicated to the topics of how to deal with an ass in a boardroom and other philosophical paradoxes.
Dear Victoria, as an English gentleman, I feel rather uncomfortable listening to a lady like you using a profane language. I thought we are hosting a business podcast together, not a late-night talk show.
Are you referring to the words ass in a boardroom, Darren? I surely do not mean the part of the human body, but rather the animal, donkey, as in the expression Buridan's ass.
I get it now. That's more like it. The paradoxes are simple frameworks that help us explain some contradicting situations.
Yes, that's right. And this is why they are important for the managers and entrepreneurs. They save us time and provide a simple explanation to a situation that might seem more perplexing on the surface than it actually is. Here's what I mean. Have you asked yourself, why is it so hard sometimes for some managers to make decisions? Or how come a management board consisting of highly educated and vastly experienced people can get distracted in lengthy discussions on trivial issues? All of those can be answered by a philosophical paradox.
So tell me about Buridan. What about his donkey?
Well, it deals with the dire consequences of management indecisiveness. The Buridan's ass paradox goes back to 14th century. It is found in the works of the philosopher Jean Buridan. An ass, the animal, is faced with the following choice. Being equally hungry and thirsty, it is put midway between the hay and the water. As the poor thing cannot make up its mind whether to eat or drink first, it does not do anything, and so it dies. In corporate slang, the cause of Buridan's ass death is called indecisiveness. Certain jobs, like the CEO, come with good benefits, but also with the requirement to bear the responsibility for making timely and sometimes hard decisions.
Well, as we know, with great power comes great responsibility. I am sure our listeners will recognize this statement that has been quoted from Voltaire to Churchill, Roosevelt and Spider-Man.
A lot of things can go wrong when you have great responsibility, that's for sure. Speaking about things going wrong, I can't help but think about Parkinson. You know, the Parkinson's law. If something can get wrong, it surely does. Parkinson has another law, the law of triviality. According to Wikipedia, it refers to the fact that members of an organization give disproportionate weight to trivial issues. In his example, a fictional committee has the job to approve the plans for a nuclear power plant. Instead of working on the main and rather complex task, the design of the plant, the committee actually spends the majority of its time discussing relatively minor but easy issues, such as what materials to use for the staff bike shed. This means that without proper leadership, many boardrooms are doomed to fall into heavy discussions on trivial topics, avoiding to address the more complex but strategic decisions.
Are you surprised, Victoria?
Frankly, no. People in the top positions are people like all of us. Also, to them, the next paradox holds true. Occam's razor. It states that the simpler is more probable. Or, other things being equal, simpler explanations are generally better and more probable than the complex ones. This is one of the popular interpretations of the 13th century philosophical construct known as Occam's razor. In a corporate environment, it is easy to get lost in translation, in interpretation, in small caps, all caps, and so on. Unfortunately, in real life, this is what we often end up doing. overthinking and analyzing. While a phone call or a brief one-to-one meeting can resolve any issue. And there comes Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the right one. And finally, a logical follow-up from the last paradox is the Hanlon's razor. Many people are inclined to analyze and look for signs of malicious intent when analyzing actions of other people, colleagues or competitors. But according to that super simple aphorism, Hanlon's razor, we should, and I quote, never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. That was it for today's episode of the C-Suite Minimalists podcast. Thank you for being here, and until next week, C-Suiters.
You were listening to the C-Suite Minimalists. Whether you are a manager or an entrepreneur, it's your place for practical insights on how to do better with less. Visit our website www.thecsuiteminimalists.com.